Hey everyone, I'm your host, Emily Lauren. Welcome to the Body Positive Podcast, where we ditch diets, normalize real bodies, and help you feel better in your own skin.
Welcome everyone to the Body Positive Podcast show. Today we are welcoming Deanna Seymour to the show to talk about exercising for fun over punishment. Deanna hosts daily family dance parties to promote physical and mental health without a side of diet culture. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. Oh my gosh, you said that so eloquently. I'm like, wow, I'm just going to keep you in my pocket and take you around with me. It sounded great.
Right? Thank you. So let's kick this off and talk about your own personal experience with body image and mental health.
Okay, let's do it. I'm like, let's dive in. Let's get real.
Let's
just
get
kidding.
into
I
it.
always feel like that scene in Goonies when he's like, okay, I was born and then this happened. Like, I always go back probably like too far. You're like, it's not that long of a podcast.
No,
but
I love it. I love getting the backstory for everyone because I think it's really important.
Okay. Well, okay, I'll try to keep it like a little bit brief. So I started my first diet in third grade. So third grade was my first diet. And I feel like looking back, I'm like, what the heck? I was not even like a chunky kid. I actually just stumbled on someone on Instagram today talking about movies, and like she does all these reels, and I don't even know her name because it just like came up, but doing all these reels of like fat girls in movies who aren't actually fat, and I feel like I grew up with that.
About. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like the girl in Now and Then, and it's like, this is the fat, weird, and so that was me. Like, I wasn't fat, but I was, I guess, maybe the chubbiest. Like, I was aware that I was like bigger.
Yes.
But I was not one of those people who was like bullied or anything like that. It was definitely just in my head, in my house. My mom dieted a lot. Wasn't really big either. Like, I mean, it's all whatever. But I watched her diet, and then I was like, oh, that's what people do. Like, I'm going to do that too. And my dad was in the military, and so he would do these weird diets that were like he would have to weigh in, so he would like lose 10 pounds in 3 days, kind of like a wrestling thing, whatever, like to weigh in. Yeah. And so then that, I was really aware of like, you can modify what you're eating, and, like it just...
by changing your eating habits.
Not the best role model.
Yeah. We're learning.
I know, right? And we've talked about it. Like, my mom has definitely been like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I did that to you girls. I have a sister, and she was like, I just didn't know. It's like what her mom did. It's generational. So that was kind of how I was brought up. And so I've always kind of, fluctuated, yo-yo dieted, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And when I was pregnant with my daughter in 2015, 2016, I was doing Weight Watchers, even though it was saying like, don't do this when you're pregnant. Like, it's not, it's a diet. It is a diet. I don't care if they change it to WW. Nice try. And I was like, yeah, but it's just like, I'm just eating more vegetables. Like, that can't be bad for my baby, and I'm like doing that. And then in the middle, like somewhere in the middle, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm going to do exactly what my mom did to me, to this baby. Like, I'm already worrying about if I'm putting on weight while I'm pregnant with her. And so I just, in the middle of like being pregnant with her, I just stopped and haven't been on a diet since. And just have been really working on how I talk about myself, how I, view myself. Like, I mean, I guess for me, it starts like, my whole thing is, it was really hard to just say like, oh, now I'm going to be like body positive. Like, I feel like I would read about women. Yeah. I'm like, I went to art school, so I'd be like, well, I'm like an expert in aesthetics, and this is not cute. So I can't lie to myself, and it was like all this conditioning that you can't just really flip overnight. It's really hard to do. So for me, I just had to stop being mean to my body. Like, I wasn't ready to even really embrace, people are like, oh, my stretch marks from having my babies are like tiger stripes and I'm proud of them. But I was like, no, I need the best cream to get rid of it. Like, who is, like, that person's crazy. It ain't cute, So I just started by just saying like, why do I even have to like judge it? Why does it have to be good or bad? Can't it just be, here's my stomach? Yeah, like who cares,
Yeah.
And so it just kind of started for me as like really trying not to say it's good or bad, just stop.
more
Just
neutral.
stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, don't I have anything better to think about? Yeah.
I think a lot of people start at that neutral point, right? When it comes to this process, it's not just like you don't go from hate and loathing to loving right away. It's definitely a process, and it's one that even when you're being body positive, I feel like you have to constantly remind yourself to come back down when you're having a bad body image day, because you're not exempt from having bad body image days if you're a body positive person. We're still affected by the culture we've been brought up in and everything that's out there in the media. So it is quite the process.
Yeah. Well, I say I'm just getting better at shaking it off quicker. Like,
Good.
I'll still
I like
look
that.
sometimes, like, I'll put on my bathing suit every once in a while. You catch a glimpse and you're like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
The sliding glass door or something. Like, I feel like sometimes it, like, sneaks up on me and I'm like, oh, okay, there's my thighs, and I'm like, wasn't prepared for that. And before, maybe it would have, like, changed the rest of my day.
Yeah. it
Whereas
would've put you in a
now
bad
I'm like,
mood or
yeah. Or, could even be like, okay, I feel like I'm had enough time in the pool. Like, change what I'm doing, change whatever. But now I'm just like, oh, okay, well, that's my thighs. Who cares? Like, I'm going in to get my hard seltzer. See ya.
Yeah, exactly. That reminds me actually of there's an influencer that I'm friends with named Shaylee Muir, and she's awesome. And she posted something way back when, and I still remember it today, and it was about getting comfortable with your discomfort, as in, like, take pictures of yourself at those awkward angles that you would go, normally. And the more you, like, expose yourself, almost like exposure therapy, the more you expose yourself to that, the more comfortable, the more it rolls off your back, like you were saying, right? It's just a blip in your day,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because I can't even say to you that I'm, like, proud of my thigh. Like, I'm not really, like, and I feel like there are people out there, and I still, like, who knows, maybe I'll get there one day, but I'm not really one of those people who's ready to be like, yeah, that's right, here's my cellulite thighs. Like, look at me, I don't even care. Like, I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm also, like, not hating my thighs, and I'm living my life.
I love that. Was there, like, a pivotal moment that sort of made you switch gears, or was it just sort of like a gradual, like, what am I doing on Weight Watchers type thing?
Yeah, I think now my daughter's here, and I feel like it's a great reminder. Like, she's watching me all the time. She'll just, she'll say things that I say, like, not in a bad way. Maybe, who knows all the damage I'm doing. But, like, sometimes she'll be like, okay, here's the plan. We're going to go here. We're going to pick this. And I'm like, oh, my God, you're me. Like, that sounds like she's just talking, she's 5 now. So
they're watching us, right?
They're watching. Yeah, like, I was never like, okay, Ruby, I'm going to teach you how good it is to have plans. And to be honest, like, sometimes I wish I would cool out on my planning, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm creating a little planner. Like, here we go.
You can't help but pass it on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that one of the things she's not hearing is, or, she's watching me like a hawk. I think she would even notice if I was, like, looking disgusted in the mirror, or, any of that. I just think they're little sponges, and it's just gonna, no matter how much I know, because my mom never put me on a diet. My mom never told me I was fat. She never said, you have to lose weight or anything like that. But it's what she did. And so I just learned. Like, I was like, that's what women do. That's what you do.
Yeah. You learn
So, yeah. And she never said don't. You know what I mean? Like, she never discouraged me from it.
Yeah. So that's the difference with our parenting these days, knowing these things. We have to be really conscious with our kids and talk about that stuff, Like, my kids at school, I actually wrote an article about this for Today's Parent, because I was so infuriated that the kids were doing this good versus bad foods. And they put pizza in the bad category and some other stuff. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So that gave me an opportunity to talk to them about that. Someone might say that's a bad food, but in our house, we don't believe that any foods are bad. And, it just spirals that kind of conversation. But that's what they're going to need to be resilient against these pressures to fit in the things that you learn unconsciously, right?
And that food thing is so hard. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh, we just eat a variety of foods. Like, I'm like, I don't know what to say, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm like still nervous. I'm like, if I just let her eat whatever, it could be like chaos over here. Yeah. But I'm always just like, well, and she's always like, because it's a treat. And I'm like, well, we just like to eat a variety of foods.
Yes,
I'm like, I need to read more blogs. I'm like, quit quizzing me on this. I'm not ready for this level yet. Come on.
That's
so yeah,
funny. So you started. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
So I was going to talk about your dance party. So when did you start doing these dance parties?
Okay, so I'm late to the dance party, like pandemic. I'm like, what? Why did I start doing this at the end of the, like, everybody was stuck at home and I wasn't doing it, and now I'm doing it. But let's see. Okay, so my daughter had 2 like pandemic birthdays. So we have been like really strict in my house. So her birthday's in April. So the first birthday was like nobody came, like not my parent, like everybody, whoever came was like FaceTiming in. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And then I had no idea that like the next April would still be like we're still like, I don't know, we don't feel comfortable like having a whole full-on party yet. So I was like, all right, let's do like a dance party, like a Zoom dance party. People can just pop in and like, you know, Ruby can pick the songs she loves, putting on a show. I mean, I was a karaoke queen back in the day, so it makes sense. It makes sense that Ruby's like a showman, but yeah, so I was like, let's do a little dance party. And so all our like friends and family came and popped in. It was like a 15-minute little playlist, and it was really, really, really fun.
Amazing.
And I was like, okay, number one, I'm out of shape. Like, I was like, actually 15 minutes of like really cutting a rug was like, okay, that was like more than I'm used to. And then also really freaking fun. So I was like, well, I want to keep doing this, because one of the things I've really struggled with is like we're doing intuitive eating. I told you we're trying to keep, you know, food neutral here. And that is still a process, you know, we're still learning, whatever. But for exercise, for me, has always been punishment. Like, for me personally, has always been.
For a lot of people, yeah.
It just means I got too fat. I got to check myself. You know, like, it has never, I have never really, to be honest, like, I'm trying to think, like, I didn't really do sports. I was like a punk rocker, so sports weren't my thing. And actually, I was really thinking about this the other day, and I did soccer. I think, okay, I'm going to tell a story because you can tell me. I think there's one man to blame in my life, and I don't even know his name, but he was my soccer coach when I was 5. And all the kids would go, and we would run laps around the soccer field, and whoever was last had to run one more by themselves and be like ridiculed. And guess who it always was? Me.
Yeah.
And I would cry and tell my mom, like, please take me late. And then my family would kind of laugh about that because then it was like a whole thing. Like, Deanna hates running. And I do, like, hate running. Like, I hate running. So I'm like, I was thinking about it lately, and I'm like, that guy, I could be like a marathon runner right now. I think he scarred me for life. So
see, it's just crazy how impactful those interactions. You were at 5, right? And you take that to heart. You remember that stuff to this day, and that's how important it is to raise resilient kids against this kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I also feel like it was kind of like the story we told, like I told myself, but also just the story of like Deanna used to not want to run laps. Well, of course I didn't want to run laps.
You were shamed.
Was always last, and I was like the loser. Yeah, but I don't even know if I like hated the running of the first couple or whatever. But it just, I kind of like took that to heart.
More about
the
like, insult at the end. Yeah, you were kind of dreading that instead of exercising for fun and it not mattering who's first or last. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, like I didn't like soccer, but I also probably just didn't like soccer because that whole thing. But so I feel like I just have never, like, just exercise has always been a way for me to, like, restrict, I guess. Or, like I said, it's just punishment. It's like, it's, you got out of hand. Like, I can't really remember doing that. But now I have, you know, I have a 5-year-old. Now I also have a 2-year-old son. So I want to move my body more in fun ways with them. And when we had the dance party, I was like, this is the first time recently, because I've kind of been like, okay, I'm doing the intuitive eating and all this stuff, and I really do want to get, move my body in healthy ways. Like, people think like, oh, intuitive eating, you get to eat whatever you want, and health at every size means like, don't care about health. Like people who don't know about it are like,
yes,
so you can just do whatever you want. No, and it's not about that. It's just finding it, making it in a way that feels good to you. And I couldn't figure out that piece of the puzzle, and I wasn't really forcing it because it really felt like diet culture. If I would even try to like, be like, I got to go on a walk, I just got to go on a walk. Cause I don't hate going on a walk, but I knew I was doing it because it was like, here's what you have to do.
You got to burn those calories or
like I didn't like want to, and I would listen to blogs and stuff, and people be like, find a way that's fun for you, and I'm like, I don't know what's fun for me. I think I hate it all. Like I never want to move my body, so I was like, oh my gosh. So the dance party happened, and I, number one, was like, yes, this is verifying that I do need to move my body more, because like 15 minutes of a dance party shouldn't be that hard, although I do feel like it was her birthday. We were going hard. So
yeah, of course.
And then, so we decided, so her birthday's like the end of April. So May 1st, I was like, we're going to have a dance party every day. And we're going to do 3 songs, which usually ends up being like, 9 to 12 minutes, depending on how short the songs are. And we have missed only like, I think 2 or 3 days. Like I had a work thing and, a couple things here and there, but like we do it every single day. So it's on Zoom, and anybody who wants to come can come and Zoom in. Yeah, camera on, camera off. Yeah.
So if someone wants to join, how can they join?
They can go to my website, which is deannaseymour.com /party. And join the party.
Awesome.
So and they're free. Like it doesn't cost money.
Oh, that's so great. What an amazing thing that you're doing.
Yeah. I will tell you, if you're a mom, it's really good for bedtime. So I do it, I'm in the East Coast. I do it at 6:30 p.m. And my kids just like run around for 15 minutes, and then I'm like, we read some stories, and they are like out. It's our new. I think that's also why we haven't missed them, because we're like, all right, run around.
There's also a benefit to it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So how have these dance parties help you feel better about your body and cope with things like anxiety, depression?
Well, the one thing, I feel like people hear it and they're like, oh, that's like maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's their worst nightmare, because they're like, dance on a Zoom with people. I don't know, like that sounds like too much. But for me, looking at myself, especially like if there's not a lot of people there and I'm kind of like, I can see myself on the screen. First of all, my daughter loves it. I told you she's a show person.
Love that. Good
but
for her.
She loves it. And I have found that it's like kind of the thing you were just talking about with exposure therapy. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, my arms or whatever, but I just keep dancing and we're having fun, and nobody, like, on a scale of whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, my kids are here, they're laughing, my husband comes, I would say half the time, like, he's like, oh, let's skip it tonight, or he'll come. But it's so fun. And also, like, kids dancing is, like, if you've ever watched a kid dance, they don't care. Oh, yeah. They're just doing their thing.
They shake their booties.
I know. And so it's just really fun. I mute us. So thank goodness, because we're so loud. Like, we're like, run in a circle. And we're just like running. And I feel like I probably clap too much, but don't worry, because I'm muted. But I love a little, just all the moves that just, for those 15 minutes, I feel like I don't meditate. I don't do that kind of stuff because my brain, I also have ADHD, but it's really hard for me to quiet my brain sometimes, especially in a quiet way. But when I'm dancing, I'm not thinking about.
You're not thinking about it. Yeah.
So it's kind of in a weird way, like relaxing, if that's.
I like that. Like relaxing for your mind, but energy for your body. So if someone is embarrassed about how they dance or feel awkward doing it, what are some ways that they can get out of their heads so they're just enjoying moving their bodies?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I'm like,
is there anything
you're going to see us and be like, we're fine. Look at the Seymours, those freaks. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like maybe if it wasn't me hosting them and I wasn't doing this crazy thing, like, just come maybe with your camera off, and
okay,
just
that's a good
have
suggestion
fun.
To start
just have fun.
Until you get comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, no one's going to be impressed by our moves or intimidated. So I think just come and enjoy it. And then get brave if you want, or never turn on your camera. But I think the weird thing, like I said, it sounds like superficial, but me seeing myself on the camera has been good for me to just say, that's my body. But also, like you said, and it's you having fun. So it's like an old Deanna probably would only concentrate on my calves or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I feel like where I am now, it might pop in. But like I was saying, the resiliency really quickly to be like, but look how cute, Jack's running around, Ruby. Oh my gosh, we're having so much fun. It's not about that, and it shouldn't be. So
exactly. And I like on your website, you talk about embracing your so-called imperfections and, in your words, letting your freak flag fly, because I think that we all often think that we're the only people out there that are like weird, but we are more similar than we think,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're all weird in our own little weird ways, I feel like doing this, being on this journey has just helped me also just embrace my weirdness. Like, it's what makes me me, it's what makes like, that's how you make your friends, right? You're like, oh my gosh, our weirdness kind of matches up. Like, we should be friends. We're both weird in this weird way, So
true. So true. So how do you stay motivated to do these dances even when you're feeling very low energy? What are some of the ways that you keep committed to doing this fun activity?
Well, I do think if there's people listening and they're like, well, 3 songs, we could just do that on our own. I think the community aspect of it makes you feel like, okay, well, there's I got to show up. There's going to be people there. It's not like a question. You got to do it. If I was just doing it on my own, I think I would have fallen off probably a while ago. But I feel like showing up,
accountability,
yeah, for sure. And like involving, especially my kids, they do really like it. As a matter of fact, we had to come up with a code word. We started calling it DP because Jack, who's 2, knows what dance party means, and he'll like run to the top of the stairs. Like, we do it in the sun porch, and he'll be like, yay! And we're like, I'm ready. Wait, not yet. Not yet. And then it's like a whole thing of him being really mad that it's not quite time. So we had to start saying we have the DP in 15 minutes, and then maybe he'll catch on to that, and we'll have to make a new code word. But I think they, keep me... I have to do it, or else he's just going to throw a fit for 15 minutes. So I might as well dancing is more fun than dealing with that. So,
oh, absolutely. And I love that it's the accountability, but without the pressure to do it for the wrong reasons. Because I think you're switching narratives here and making it about fun and, what's good for your body, as opposed to changing the focus to what many of us have grown up with, which is to lose weight, or because we have to do it to stay in a certain shape to be accepted by society. So I think really making it a fun activity is such a good point.
I feel like people have told me before, like in the past, they say like, oh, just like get up and put your shoes on because then you'll go to the gym. Or, like people say, get there. Once you get there, it's not so bad. But I feel like for the dance party, I'm like, get there because it's fun. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. Not just like get there and you'll just suffer through it and you'll be fine. It's like get there because you like it. And it's going to be fun.
Perspective. I love that perspective. And you don't have to have kids to join your dance party, right?
You do not.
Dance.
No.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I should also say that all the songs, like, it's not kid song. Like, I put family because I'm like, well, I don't know if anyone's going to think it's weird, but my kids are there. But anybody can come. And also, we do not play kid songs. I mean, Ruby tries relentlessly to make me play Muppet Babies. And I'm always like, we listen to that all day. This is mommy's playlist. So, and I always say there could be like a curse word slip out, but there's no like Cardi B. We're not like doing anything too crazy, but we're not like, we're not kids bop. So it's like
I love that. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I'll have to get my kids to join you one day.
Yes, I would love that.
About where we can find you online.
I mean, the main place I have been hanging out is Instagram.
Okay,
which is just Imperfect Party, which is also my podcast. So
awesome.
If you follow me there, you'll see all those new episodes come out. And those are also, I mean, just about, like you said, just an accepting. See, I can't even say it, so I'm imperfect already. Way to go, on brand. accepting your imperfections and just, living your life, because it's crazy, and we should all just take it easier on ourselves. So
yeah, I agree, and show our real and just be honest with who we are so that other people will be comfortable being themselves too.
I know, because that's when we're all the best versions of ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's too boring if everybody's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And lastly, if you could offer one tip to our listeners, what would that be?
I mean, I think it goes back to just not categorizing things. I find, I don't know if it's how I was raised, but I just tend to often try to label things, like put things in a pile, like good or bad, whether it's like my stretch marks or my calves, or, and sometimes it's in the good pile too. But I think if we can start to just stop having to sort of put things in a pile, like if things could just be.
Neutralize everything. Yeah.
Neutralize everything. Like, because then, even like what I was saying with the food with my kids, like it's all food. It's all doing a job. Like, we don't have to always be like, this one's better, or this one's my favorite.
Yeah, you get nutrients from all of them. Yeah. Even the stuff that's labeled bad, right?
Yeah. So I think just trying to just not categorize things.
Get rid of the labels. Yes.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to be here today. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, and I can't wait to check out one of your dance parties.
Yeah, let's do it. I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Once again, thanks for listening to today's episode. Make sure you follow us at Real Happy Daughter, and please share this with someone who needs a little more real in their life.